Welcome back to our podcast, CRM, Chris Rankunem Caesar podcast. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Siyabonga lapha ekhaya ukuthi uloku usibukela. Oba namhlanje siniphathele ubaba uMabona, RH, ubaba oJabu Mabona. Baba uMabona, siyakwamukela.
Thank you very much, Babu Rankune. I'm also following your podcast, and my greetings to all the viewers of the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mabona. When we have your support, Region 7, you are welcome. The whole of Tshwane, you are welcome. Follow this podcast because we'll be bringing you issues that are related to governance, the municipality, any other issue, and every political party is also welcome on this podcast. Babu Mabona, there was an interview that we had, and the reason why we gave you this right of reply, it's because the former Councillor Solipiri, raised some allegations leveled against you regarding his suspension when he was still a councillor. And the allegation is as follows. The allegation is that when you were still a chief whip in Tshwane during that term, your office suspended him. And according to his understanding, that suspension was illegal because, in fact, the allegation is that it was unlawful. Because according to his understanding and the legal advice that he received, the suspension had to be done or effected by the office of the MEC. I don't know how to understand the process so far as that suspension is concerned.
No, thank you very much, Babu Caesar, for bringing that on board. I went through the interview, yes, that you held with Babu Pir, the former councillor. Well, as an ex-chief whip of Tshwane, yes, I have a right to reply in terms of what has happened.
Yes.
And you recall that before we even went to Tshwane,
yes,
there's quite massive experience that one accumulated during that time.
Yeah.
Firstly, I did some work in the EGSC.
Yes.
Around 1995 up to 2000. And during that time, I was the deputy chair, and I was one who was leading also a whip.
Yes.
During that time, that's where I accumulated some experience. In 2000, when we come to Kongweni,
yes,
I was also a chief whip during that term, and I think we were MMCs during that time.
Yes.
I also acquired some experience also further during that time. And then I went to Tshwane.
Yeah.
I then became the chief whip of council and also a chief whip of the party.
Yes.
So basically, I had been empowered in terms of my roles and my responsibilities in terms of how I should bring discipline of councillors during that period.
Yes.
Fast forward in terms of, just to clarify what happened, is that during the time when in 2011, when I was the chief whip of council, before I became a chief whip of council, I was appointed as the chief whip of the ANC, and I was directly working with the office of the regional secretary.
Yes.
In terms of ensuring that the work of public representatives that have been appointed by the ANC do their work.
Yes.
They are disciplined,
yes,
and they ensure that they account to their communities. And in that space, I think Piri was one of those councillors. You'll know that Piri is also coming from this area, Region 7.
Yes.
And during that time also, that Paul Mujapile, as the regional secretary, was also coming from this area.
Yes.
There was nothing personal.
There was nothing
personal. What I can indicate is that they know that when they did a declaration that they will serve the people well, respect, report back. And that is what is required in terms of the ANC. And what happened during that time, I was responsible for the Troika.
Okay.
I convened Troika, which is the office of the speaker, office of the mayor, and then myself.
Yes.
At that level, we served as management, ensuring that programs around oversight sanctioned by the speaker are moving.
Yes.
programs around governance as sanctioned by the mayor during that time, Ubaburam Kupa, they are moving.
Yes.
And we take full responsibility in ensuring that our councillors perform.
Yes.
They do constituency work, they report, and they do everything.
Yes.
What happened is that in terms of oversight program, they brought to my attention, and also the regional secretary also brought to my attention as the chief whip during that time, that there was an issue brought to them that the speaker was actually establishing ward committees.
Okay.
And then what happened in Stobeni, there was that program of establishing ward committees. And then Ubabu period disrupted the meeting in front of the communities, in front of everybody, kicked tables.
That's it.
And councillor kicked table, councillor. So there was such a chaos. But then you must remember, some of us, if we are not there, we can't just declare that he has done that.
Yes.
We then said that because we've got ethics committee, during that time it was actually run or convened by Unoki Makita.
Yes. So we said, Makita.
Yes, sir. Let's get an investigation so that everything we get a sense in terms of what has happened. Indeed, they did that investigation and they brought it to our attention, and they gave us a perspective in terms of what the councillor done in terms of his conduct and everything.
Yes.
Kicking of tables and disrupting the meetings, stalling the process of the launching of ward committees.
Yes.
We then take it to the Troika. And the speaker indicated that he got that. The mayor was not happy at all that because it has a bearing in terms of service delivered. Said, no, then we must take action against the council.
Yes.
The way they carry themselves, we can't allow that.
Yes.
Because we are going to have a problem. So also what happened that besides that, also there were some issues brought to our attention that we council at some point, the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak to the communities in the public meetings, you can't behave like a king.
Okay.
Something like that. You need to listen to the people. Sometimes as a councillor, you need to develop a very thick skin in terms of listening, so that even if they think you are at the wrong side, but try to manage the situations on behalf of the city, because you are an ambassador of the city. So we got contrary views against the councillor. Then there was a view from that level, and also from the office of the regional secretary, that we must take action.
Yeah.
And one of the actions we should take is that we must have a report.
Yes.
And once we had that report went to council with an intention to suspend the council.
Okay.
Because there was no remorse shown on his behalf to say, no, at least, no, I acted maybe very harshly, so I apologize. No, he did not retreat. He was just adamant that no, it's his word, all those things. But here you are talking about the city and the way we must carry ourselves. And then there was that intention to suspend him.
Okay.
Because when there's an intention to suspend him, no benefits must be affected.
Okay.
Stopping and everything. We took it to council.
Okay.
And council resolved that no, we must suspend him in terms of the process, and also refer it to the MEC for action. For us, we recommend.
Okay.
And the MMC and the MEC must actually effect to say no, suspend him. Because once we are suspended, the issues related to benefits, you lose.
Okay.
You lose certain things, because it becomes now a decision coming from the highest level.
Yes.
Then the MEC, whilst he was dealing with that matter,
yes,
we then get some letters coming from the side of Ubabu Piri, of lawyers,
yes,
saying you can't do this. Then Troika said, because he's now taking us to the lawyers, we must just make sure that we stop him from activities of council until the MEC sanction that process.
Okay.
But we don't tamper with his benefits and so forth, so that he must stay at home. We must appoint, because we are empowered.
Yes.
To appoint somebody to act. And that's what happened. Somebody came in so that the service delivery is not disturbed, by the name of Oscar Matapa, during that time, to act and to ensure that meetings are called and everything. That's what happened.
Yes. Why it get to the
Work continued. Yeah, he was getting his salary, whatever, busy appointing lawyers, doing everything.
yes.
But if he thought that we were wrong in terms of our processes, our view was that he was supposed to take us to court.
Yes.
And once there was a court decision, there was no way we could violate a court decision.
Yes.
So what happened is that he just sent the lawyers writing us letters and all those things. We carry on with our work. And service delivery was not disturbing us. So that's what happened.
So Mabona, thank you for that narration. Are you saying that the matter never went to court?
No,
You were never called to
well, never called to court.
the court never presided over the matter.
No way. If the court presided over this thing, there's no way who's above the law. Even counsel is not above the law.
Absolutely.
Justice must always prevail. Now we are going to respect the
Decision of the court.
happening.
Now, the lawyers that Ubabu Phiri paid, it was lawyers who were just acting on his behalf for correspondence, to write to letters
Definitely.
to and from.
That's what happened.
So the 400,000 that Mr. Phiri spent on lawyers, it was just for correspondence, because that's what he said.
It could be because at the same time he was corresponding with the MEC at that level.
Yes.
And then with us in terms of actually challenging what we have done and so forth. We were answering in terms of his views against the decision of counsel. But in terms of how he was interacting with the MEC, he had his own, as a person, he has a right to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked that the matter never saw its day in court.
Not even a single day we were called in court.
400,000 on correspondence.
Well, I'm also shocked because he never shared it with us to say this is how much he has been dealing with the matter.
Yeah, he said it on our podcast. Actually,
Yeah,
it's on record that he has spent 400,000. So I'm shocked that it's 400,000 on correspondence, actually, because there was no matter, there was no application to court and so forth.
Yeah. But fast forward, there was no way we could be personal with it.
Absolutely.
I'm coming from this side, he had the responsibility to serve this community.
Yes.
And also maybe the regional secretary has a right to respond to this issue in terms of how it was handled.
Yes.
Based on the experience I accumulated over a period of time, there was no way that we could defeat this. Maybe you'll remember even during Kungwini, there was a process when such a process came in.
Yes.
When there was a councillor tried to bring the council into district it, and there was a process, there was an issue of lawyers, and even we took the process to the MEC, and the MEC was, I don't know what you call that process, to say it must be set aside through court processes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that one, it was taken to court.
Yes. No, that one I remember.
Yeah. So this one, we never reached that level.
Yeah, I'm just shocked that 400,000 on correspondence is just too much. Now, the other thing that I want to make a follow-up on, Babona, is the question of the responsibilities of your office then as a chief whip.
Yes.
Of course, we were wearing two hats.
Definitely.
One was that from the political party that you represented,
Yes.
you were a chief whip of the councillors that were in council. As from the political mandate, you had to keep the mandate of the party. But when it got to council, you also became the chief whip of council. And I want to believe that that is why then there was troika. It means council, through a council resolution, I want to believe, recognized 3 offices, which means you are now elevated from being only the chief whip of council. In fact, if you like, you would have had a different chief whip of the party.
Of the party.
Yeah, you could have said,
And then myself.
yes, you could have said, Mr. B,
Yeah.
become the chief whip of the political party.
Very correct.
You communicate the decisions of the party to the councils who represent the party as to what should be the position from the political party.
Yes.
Then you could have remained only the chief whip of council. In other words, you could have remained responsible for all the councillors and for whipping the whole council. Now, In that case, I want to believe that there was a council resolution that empowered you to become the chief whip of the council.
Definitely.
Now, if there's a council resolution that empowers you to become the chief whip of the council, then there will be functions assigned to your office through a council resolution. Because one of the things that is important is for people to understand that a council resolution is law.
You have nailed it. Yeah, because in this one, I think there's a distinction in terms of, and there was no confusion of roles, responsibilities. When I was the chief whip of the ANC, yes, there were specific tasks that I was supposed to do. The orientation and the induction of ANC councillors in terms of ANC policy, those things were done. Yeah, they was also taken to school in different modules. We even went up to the level that we had a memorandum of understanding with the University of Pretoria just for ANC progress. That's that in terms of PCO constituency work that has been done, and we had a caucus policy in terms of having a budget for each and every party to do such.
Yes,
and that separate, and that was, and I had the staff to deal with that in the office.
Yes,
and then when I was elevated at the same time to be the chief whip of council, I had a responsibility to make sure that there's what we call programming committee.
Yes,
where all parties we agree on a program of council, and also in terms of how parties also do their work and account in terms of the resources of council. And that work was also done. And also in terms of how parties must relate in the course of doing work to their constituencies. That one was done. And also there was also a policy in terms of all parties in terms of how they should carry themselves.
Yes,
in terms of doing work of council.
Yes.
And within that framework of programming committee, we're also looking at that level as a chief whip of council, and we are operating quite well. Even with this one, in terms of processing a decision of an ill-disciplined council.
Yes.
Even if it was the councillor from the DA or EFF, it was going to be the civil process with that.
Yes.
And once a decision is tabled at council level,
yes,
no one is above council.
Because that's what I wanted to get clear. Because
even this one, I did not resolve in my capacity as a chief whip of council to resolve.
Yes.
To say, Phiri there must be intention to suspend him and recommend to the decision of council.
The decision of council.
Yes.
So you when you dealt with this issue, you were not wearing the cap of the chief whip of the ANC. You were wearing a cap of the chief whip of council. Is that the understanding?
Really right.
Now,
but the process came from those processes, from the ANC processes where there was a misbehavior, how councillors behave and all those things. And then when it reached that level of office,
yes,
when it brought to my level as the chief whip of council, everybody must carry himself or herself correctly. And we take a decision to council, and council take a decision.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to clarify to our viewers, that there are two separate processes. Where Ubabu Crm gets involved as the then secretary of the ANC.
Yes.
It's the side that deals with the discipline of councillors of the ANC.
Yes.
But when it was brought to you, it was brought to your office in your capacity as the chief whip of council, who has been empowered by the council through a council resolution that the issues of discipline must remain in that office. So that is the understanding. Because I think I noticed that misunderstanding, that there are two processes. And if Ubabu Phiri was suspended by the process of the ANC, it would have been illegal, because
that's correct.
The ANC, when it deals with you, it deals with you with an understanding that you are a disciplined member of the ANC in terms of its constitution. In terms of its constitution, absolutely.
Yes.
And if the ANC wanted to deal with Mr. Phiri, then the ANC would have implemented ANC
that's correct.
processes.
And in terms of council, we use the system set.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Phiri alleges that you did not have powers to suspend it. Only the NEC could suspend it. So I want to check in terms of your understanding. Your office as the chief whip of council, you're saying it has recommended to council based on the findings of the subcommittees. You said one of the committees was chaired by Councillor Makitla at the time as the chairperson, and they brought recommendation. And even that committee of a report, even that committee of Councillor Makitla at the time was a committee constituted in terms of the council's resolutions for the smooth running of council. Now that committee recommended to the chief whip's office.
Yes.
The chief whip's office, the chief whip of the council.
Yes.
Now,
and the chief whip of council take that report to council.
Today takes it to council.
And council as the final arbiter take a decision.
Takes a decision.
And once it takes a decision, it becomes law.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that decision
is no longer Mabona or office of the chief whip.
Or the mayor or the speaker.
It's now council.
It's now it is.
When you challenge the decision, you challenge
council. Absolutely, because initially council recognized the office of the chief whip. So when that process was sent to the MEC, it was a recommendation to say, MEC, in terms of the Systems Act, you have a final say on the matter.
And at that level, then, because council resolves, once it resolves, because it becomes an archives of the city.
Yes.
And that process is taken over by the speaker who must make sure that the MEC receive.
The speaker as the chairperson of council.
Yes.
So the speaker wrote to the MEC to say,
informing the MEC about the decision of council.
The decision, but the object of the decision was, we have taken a decision to suspend council appeal, but we are pleading with you to look into the matter and come back to us. Is that the understand?
That's correct.
Now, maybe the challenge would then become, how long did that process take? Because I think one of the allegations by Mr. Peer is that at some stage, the MEC took a decision that he should be reinstated. And the city frustrated that process.
I'm not aware about that. Because once we recommend to the MEC, and we are also clinical in terms of what we are requesting.
Yes.
Because of the behavior and indicated that at the meantime, while the MEC is looking at this issue, we'll have somebody acting because with his current conduct, I think we'll lose constituencies.
Yes.
And so forth. And then we left the issue at that level.
Yes.
So whilst the MEC was dealing with that matter, the PL was also busy with his lawyers and so forth. Then we then know his council is then taking another dimension.
Yes.
But will just correspond in terms of corresponding with is any delayed because of
the correspondence.
Corresponding with us, corresponding with the MEC.
And then, but after the council has communicated the decision with the MEC, did the council, either Troika or the mayor or the speaker, have a session with the MEC, or even a correspondence coming from the MEC's office to say, we acknowledge receipt of your communication, and this is our decision on the matter. Wait for us, or we have finalized the matter, we are busy with the matter, or this is our recommendation.
Well, in our view, because the MEC during that time had to communicate with the speaker or with the mayor.
Yes.
Because the mayor was the first citizen of the city and so forth. So we couldn't disrupt such arrangements which could be done.
Okay.
But formal communication to say MEC said maybe bring back Peer and all those things. I'm not privy to that.
You're not privy to that. So, viewers, I think on the issue of Councillor Piri, this is the clarity from Mr. Mabona, because I think the allegations were directed largely to your office to say your office did not have powers to deal with the matter, and thus the process is illegitimized because a proper process was not followed. But I think I've received clarity, and I think that the viewers at home also received clarity. Just one last issue. I'm just taking advantage that we are here. On the issue of, there's some occupation of land happening in Zitobe. I'm not sure if the council is aware of that. And, just as you enter Zitobeni on your right-hand side, there's an area there called the Hills, I think.
I had something like that. Yes.
Yes. What is the position of council? What is your advice to community members? Because apparently it is alleged that that piece of land is owned by somebody that maybe the leaders of the community know, and there is an agreement to erect those shacks around that area. What is the position of a council on that, and what is the advice to the entire community?
Well, what I'm aware, because I'm the accounting officer at this level,
Yes.
and also what the councillors might be knowing as a decision of council, we were busy with the process of formalizing the formal settlement.
Yes.
And you'll know that Zitobeni Heights has been there for quite some time. So because of the spaces and so forth, there was a view that there should be people around Zitobeni who should be relocated to that process. That process was underway, but you must remember, it's a process where there's already a database taken to those communities who were staying in the areas, whether it's contaminated or whether they are not supposed to be there. So those are the first priority people who must be relocated to Zitobeni Heights.
Yeah.
That process was agreed upon with the councillors and also the city.
Yes.
And you could see along the road that the people are settled there. Yeah, but we just heard that there could be some minor things happening. Maybe there are those who could be selling stands and so forth. And I think there's prima facie evidence around that.
Yes.
Because it's an official process of the city.
Yes.
I think the city will institute some investigation.
Yes.
There will be forensic if really people feel that there are people who were wrongly relocated to that space, because the space has been reserved for people who were really on the waiting list to ensure that they could be there, including everybody where there's a case being brought forward that where we are staying, we are not staying properly, that is screened, looked at, and then they relocate them to that space. And currently, I think the process is still moving on.
Yes.
But if there's credibility in what people are saying, that there could be officials there who are selling or whoever who's selling, there will be forensic investigation. And people will be brought to book.
Yes.
Because earlier when the process was started, it was also contaminated, that there was some people who fiddled with that process. This time around, I think whilst the process is moving, we are hearing, because you can't act on rumors, etc. So there'll be a report to say so many people has been settled there when the city has done everything.
Yes.
Also to check whether the correct people as per the data which has been done, all those people, at least we've settled the right or the correct people in that space. And that will also include if there could be some backyard dwellers, if really there's some compelling evidence that they require places. I think that space is reserved for such people so that people are properly settled. Now, just to come back to your issue around, is it Riverwalk?
Oh, Riverwalk.
Yeah. The hills, the hills, I could be right. No, indeed, we had that there. We can call that land invasion.
Oh, okay.
I can call it like that because it has not been sanctioned by council.
Okay.
And there's law in council that nobody must invade the land.
Okay.
If it was council property,
yes,
we could have acted immediately.
Okay.
And by this time, I think after the investigation, it came out that it belongs to somebody private. It's a private land, but then you must remember, because the city does not, even if it's a private land,
yes,
anybody who wants to create a settlement,
yes,
there's a zoning process for that.
Okay.
That's policy. Because in the long run, people will want services. There must be piping and all those things which must be there.
Yes.
There must be roads, and there must be clarity when you create a community that there are centers that must be created, shopping. Because once people invade land,
yes,
there's no view that there must be a shop here, there must be clinic here, there must a school and all those things. Those things are not catered. People just want space to settle. Okay. So in terms of town planning scheme, you need to get permission when you want to create a residential area. First, they must check whether that place is not contaminated, is fit for settlement. Yeah, for settlement, all those details. And it go through, even if you are a private developer, it must go through that council because the place must be changed. It was just a rural.
Yes.
It must be changed to a residential site.
Yes.
If you are a private developer. And then you get that permission to do that so that also when it comes to issues around infrastructure, there's a collaborated effort to say sewer, because you'll be linking your systems with the systems of the city.
Yes.
So that the systems must correlate.
Yeah.
So once you create such a community there without those proper processes, you'll have a problem of infrastructure, where you put your infrastructure, your sewer connection, where you get your water. You create a problem. So you create a problem. So all what we did, I think the city through the relevant legal department maybe still engaging with to locate the owner so that there will be a concurrent process. So for now, it has not been sanctioned by the city for people to settle. There must be process agreed upon so that at least people. Yeah, I don't know who has sanctioned that and how, but I will be lying to you. The process I'm aware of is that one.
Of relocation. So basically on that space where you say it might be land evasion that's taking place there. I think during the course of this week, we saw red ends there removing the people. In fact, taking away their material, their building material.
It could be that maybe there's a who sanctioned maybe that. It could be that maybe through the legal department, they've liaised with the owner. I'm not privy for now.
Okay.
I don't want to lie because there must be credibility in any information that we provide to the public.
Oh, okay.
So somebody wants clarity around that. I think they should be liaising the
legal department.
Yes, that facts around.
Now, on this allegation that city officials might be selling stands in Station 13, what do they call it? Where you are at
Tobin Heights.
It's Tobin Heights, yeah. I think the allegation that I had was that this land evasion might have been propelled by that allegation. The allegation that city officials are not allocating stands to people who followed the process and who qualify. So on that allegation, have you started with the investigation or you just heard the rumors? Have you tested the rumors? And ultimately, maybe the last question would be, these backroom dwellers, have you made a provision for them in that Tobin Heights to say so many stands will be reserved solely for the backroom dwellers? Because the allegation was that they were left out, and that is why they're evading left.
Just to clarify that, you must remember we've got public representatives who were elected by these communities.
Yes.
And there should be public meetings.
Yes.
If there are public meetings, records to say in this particular ward or section of block, there are so many backroom dwellers.
Yes.
And it's upon the councillor in terms of the departments to record such.
Yes.
And take all that information to the relevant department.
Okay.
So that relevant department in terms of the database,
yes,
they are also included there. Once there are such opportunities, like when people are settled,
yes,
they must not be left out.
Okay.
That's the process.
They're the backroom dwellers.
Yes. I don't know at this point. I don't want to talk on behalf of councillors.
But the normal process with the being asked, and they were not supposed to be left out. A portion of that area was supposed to be allocated.
They must not be left out when there's land available earmarked for such development.
Yeah,
they can't be.
Yeah,
but then official processes must be sanctioned as required, so that we see that there's development. You are resettling people. How much space do you have for such people who are also in need for settlement or for residential site? Don't think the city can close away such such a view or such a proposal when there's land available for that. So I don't know. I don't want to talk on behalf of councillors, because on these relocation processes,
Yes.
there are councillors involved.
So councillors were very key in the very depths of this process.
Yeah, they are very key. So they'll know better whether the people who are really in need of stands,
Yes.
they are also catered in that space.
Okay.
So if there's prima facie evidence that there's any wrongdoing there,
Yes.
and people must write.
Yes.
Must write to the city that we see there's this process, which is a good process for the residents by the city, but we are seeing these foreign tendencies which are done maybe by councillors or maybe by city officials.
Yes.
And then from that level, I think the city could look at that or open cases or whatever which can be done so that the city actually is able to take the process forward. For now, you have people maybe batting selling.
Yes.
And us also, we venture to that space. No, we can't. We can't. When people talk in the corridors, there must be something formal.
There must be some.
Once there's something formal, the city will look at that through its processes and resolve, bring a solution to the table. For now, I'm hearing these things and I can't hear because people drop names. And dropping names without evidence, there must be prima facie evidence.
So what type of evidence, Mr. Mabona, if somebody was to walk to your office, would you expect? If somebody says, I have seen so and so doing this and that, what type of evidence must they collect which will be acceptable to the city? And can they come to your office with such evidence?
So they can come. You must remember our office is basically settled at this level.
Yes.
There are various departments who are doing work on behalf of the city at the level of the region.
Yes.
Once they brought such,
Yes.
it is for my office to make sure that this issue is relevant to this department.
Yes.
I will escalate to that level so that it is this action. And also, I think we could be able to track in terms of how fast the city could resolve such things.
And what type of evidence, specifically on this allegations of selling stands? If I am to witness it, what type of evidence must I collect?
Like number one, let's say maybe there are foreigners.
Yes.
Maybe who are given stays there. Okay, there's evidence on that.
Okay.
Then they must be brought.
That's acceptable.
Then if indeed there are people who have exchanged money, they're buying stands because the city is not selling there.
Okay.
Bring such evidence forward.
Okay.
And then if there's people who are getting a lot of stands,
yes,
because they've seen an opportunity.
Yes.
And then they denied others to get such opportunities of getting stands. Let's have such. And then we take them forward.
Baba bona ungavalelisa ekhaya. Siyabonga thina ithuba la.
Thank you very much, Ndabezitha, for you coming. And as you brought this process to this level, we are very much happy. And we hope that all other things which might be there in the settlements will be resolved as we partner together. And currently, I think we had some problems around the treatment plants. There were areas who had some challenges in terms of getting water. The city has just lended to the region in terms of ensuring that there's a process of getting and acquiring some pumps. And also there are also some investors who want also to come on board and help us and assist us. And currently, I can confirm that on emergency basis where there are challenges within the region, we also secured Sasol, who have also given us some bowls in the space. And Randwater has also gave us bowls as a donation. You can go to Sizanani, there's a bowl. You can go to Langkloof, there's a bowl. You can go to Sokulumi, there's a bowl. You can go to Ritabiseg in one of the schools, there's a bowl. And those bowls are meant for communities where they've got challenges around water. Not saying that there is a solution for emergencies. Our last solution is to ensure that there's a new pump designed at that level, which must be able to give a proper capacity, because the design of that pump was created for a few. And we need to make sure that at least it's well refurbished and the new systems are put into place so that at least people in this area don't struggle for water. Currently, there's that challenge. Even some developments did not kick in because of the water crisis situation. But once we resolve that, and I think we have a potential to to create more investment in the area. And thank you very much for visiting us. We hope that going forward, if there are such things, we'll be able to relate to yourself, because we got first-hand information. We don't bring trash here. Bring things as they are. Thank you very much.
So it is from the horse's mouth.
From the horse's mouth.
Thank you very much for Mabona. Siyabonga lapha ekhaya kungako ke ebesiniphathele kona okuvela kaMasipala kuba Mabona, the regional head of Region 7. So please don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Siyabonga. See you next time.